Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here coming at you with a brand new Platinum Trophy guide. And just like the video before this one is going to be the same. And this is going to be the complete Platinum Trophy guide for God Eater 2 Rage Burst. Now, just like the first one, this is just going to be one entire video going over all of the trophies and things like that. As you can see, overall, it's about the same amount of playtime to fully complete the main story, which I'm not going to cover. There are going to be a couple things regarding the story I will talk about eventually that are just some minor gripes that I have, but we're just going to jump right into this so I can show you and talk about everything needed for getting the Platinum Trophy. So probably the first two trophies that you will want to work on, and you can do as soon as you start your game, is if you come to one of your terminals that you can access and eventually use, you basically want to go to your loadout and then go to your appearance. And in this screen, you simply just want to sit here for 10 minutes, and that will get you the Devouring in Style trophy. It has to be this specific screen, and it has to be for 10 consecutive minutes. You can't leave and then come back and then finish the 10 minutes. No, it has to be in one fell swoop. Now, the next trophy you're probably going to want to work on is going to be related to simply picking up 3 of these shiny objects once you have fully completed a mission. I will just show that now, as probably the easiest one that you can do is actually going to be the first area probably that you want to find. I do believe it is the training grounds or the abandoned city, whichever one you would like to use. I'm going to show that now, of course, and skip to the end of the mission. Alright, so as you'll see, I'm here in the mission, and once you have fully completed it and you have that timer, basically the next trophy you can get is simply by picking up 3 of these items you can get up off the ground once you have completed a mission. As you can see,
so sorry about that.
it is fairly easy to achieve in the first area or on any map that you want to do this on. They give you plenty of time to pick these up, so do keep that in mind. But yeah, just like that, you will get your next trophy, and it's pretty easy. Now, one new thing that they did add in the second one is character episodes. These are things that you will have to do, as there's 3 trophies related to them, so do keep that in mind. And do note that also at the start of the game, you also will be getting God Arcs to give you skills earlier than expected. And there is another trophy related to that. As you can also see, they've added Blood Arts. Now, you will need to fully unlock and master all of these Blood Arts. As you can see, there are quite a lot. Now, I'm not sure if the blood bullets need to be done, but basically, when you want to work on any of these, you basically just want to equip them and then use that, of course. These all have varying ways that they change and modify how you attack and how you perform in the game, of course, as well. So do keep that in mind. Now, when just starting off, just use whichever one you feel comfortable with for whatever weapon class you want to use, of course. But just like in the first one, you are going to get a bunch of trophies early on for devouring an origami mid-combat, for using the Link Aid or Link Burst as well. Basically all the trophies that are pretty common and understanding. One of the reasons why you will need to do the character episodes specifically is because those are related to some other trophies as well. One of which is for completely doing one, and then the other one is for doing all of the ones that you can do in the game. Now, another one that you will also be working towards as well is for whatever character you want to use, basically unlocking all of their personal abilities. So just pick whatever character you want. I went with Gilbert because he is going to appear in almost every single mission that you can do, as well as his abilities are pretty nice, as his blood ability gives just natural more attack power when out facing Origami. But you'll basically just want to come in and buy all of these abilities. As you can see, it's going to be a grind, just like the other God Eater game. But the next thing that you're also going to be doing, similar to the first one, is you're going to have to use a weapon for 500 missions, of course. As you can see, overall, I have done 255 with a scythe. I'm about halfway through, and that's not too bad, I guess, after completing the main mission. Now, like I said, I'm probably going to be referring to the first game a lot, as there's a lot of similarities and only a couple of minor changes. Now, just like the first game, there are going to be these special missions that will appear every so often, and you'll have to do 100 of those, and there's 3 trophies tied to that. One for doing your first one, the second for doing 50, and of course the last one for doing 100. Now, the upside and downside to God Eater 2 is that they added multiple layered missions. As you can see right here, the survival phase is 1 out of 4. Now, what that means is that whenever you're doing a mission, say you're doing one of these, this will count as 4 separate missions in itself, which isn't too bad, I say. But from here as well, excuse me, while you're in difficulty 15, you will have to fight a very specific, let's see if I can find it, a Magatsu Kyubi. Now this is supposed to be, I guess, this game's heavenly divine father, Diaspita, or it's this game's toughest enemy that can appear in missions. So do keep that in mind, as it is very tough. I will try and leave a link to a guide or video showing off that fight, as I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm not going to attempt to beat it just yet, as I also don't have the next thing we're going to talk about, and that is going to be rank 15 weapons. As I'm sure you're all aware, instead of, I think, 14 in the first one, they've upped it to 15. These will become available once you beat the main game. As you can see, I just need a couple of materials and I could make my first one. I do think that there's 2 or 3 for each type of weapon class, but you will need to at least make a full set, and that will get you 2 trophies in itself as well. One thing I also forgot to mention is, whenever it comes to doing the character episodes, as you can see right here, there's a whole section of them. Like I said, you'll have to do all of them. There is a hidden trophy related to one of them, and that is for bonding with the satellite defense unit. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now, whenever it comes to doing these character episodes as well, these will play into another trophy. And so, in the first game, after you did a mission and you drew the support card or whatever it was, then there'd be that cutscene. Well, they turned that into a trophy on the second game. Now, in order to even get those to appear, you have to select a character's card so many times, of course, and then eventually get that cutscene. Now, also completing their actual character episodes will also help boost that ability to appear. Also, you will need to do it on the non-story related missions, as every single time I did a story mission, I never once got a cutscene. So you will have to do the side missions and non-story related missions for it to appear, as well as picking the cards that have a, like, I guess it's a 3-star or whatever. That will also boost that for happening. So that is another trophy. Now, another thing is you will also need to have 400 pieces of clothing in the game. Now, that is a bit annoying, as you will have to have different versions of it, of course. So what that means is you will have to make at least 400 different pieces of clothing, and most of the materials, I believe, are found when replaying the maps. So if you're needing certain clothing, I will also try and leave the wiki for that to help you guys farm for those materials, as not being able to just buy them after a certain point in time is a bit annoying. But now talking about another thing as well, just like in the first God Eater, once you've completed the story, you can now use perilous missions. So this will set the difficulty up to super high, or however much you want. Doesn't sound too bad, but basically you can do, like I said, probably this first actual non-training mission, and set it to, as you'll see, perilous challenge right here. You can set it as high as you want, with 99 being that the origami will one-shot you if you so choose. You can just set it at 1, and that will also get you your own, it'll get you a trophy as well. So yeah. Now, probably one of the things I don't like the most about God Eater 2 is that towards the end of the main story, as you'll see, there's a bunch of these multi-phase missions that are very annoying. As during these missions, you can't restock any of your healing items, and it gets really annoying. Now, if you happen to be really good and have good builds, which I will try and leave a link to, at least for the blast gun section that I found that made this one particular mission right here, Lavender Blizzard, super easy for the second and third phases. Now, I don't have the full build, of course, I just have the bullet and all of that, which I will show you right now, how I did it. But in case you want to see, my loadout was, I tried to go for a neutral weapon, and also another trophy that you will get is activating 10 skills at once. You don't have to do 25 like the first game. I think they realized that's a bit too much, so they lowered it down to 10. You should actually probably unlock that by accident after a certain point of playing. As you'll see right here, this is the gun I went for. It's not fully upgraded or anything, but from here I then went with a great shield, as those give you the most amount of defense and guaranteed block all of the damage if you actually successfully deploy the shield. I went for assassin because it gives super muted, melee attack, and gun attack, always nice for more damage. The extractor kit for when you are wanting more materials from collecting, of course, and then melee booster 2, just because more attack power. And then towards the end of the game, I was trying to mix it up and use different blood arts. You can also equip skills to boost the rate at which you unlock these, so do keep that in mind. But for most of the game, I was simply using the first one. You get Phantom Razor. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but when it does do damage, it's very consistent. You're not going to be ending fights quickly, of course. Another good one that I enjoy is Turbulence, as well as the Executioner Chop. The Executioner Chop is really good if you know the origami's patterns well enough, as once you can knock them down, this can do upwards of 6,000 damage or more based on your build per single combo finish. Now do note that these first 3 are about your first 3 combos. So like if your basic square 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 attack, these will affect that. Now these bottom 2 squares affect the last one. Now turbulences can be good or bad based on your positioning, as you can continuously deal damage as long as you aren't getting hit by the origami. But like I said, whenever it comes to these, you're actually going to want to equip them, and then of course equip skills to help boost the rate at which they, you know, come apart. Do note though that just using those attack abilities will slowly unlock these, so if they're not equipped, that's fine. Downside is you can only equip one, of course. But once you've completed the story and you're just going and doing cleanup, I recommend just going and equipping new ones and trying them out just so you can start working on unlocking them, of course. But then from here, we can work on other things as well. Alright, so coming to the end of this video, we're probably going to talk about some things that are probably fairly easy trophy-wise, and that is just going to be crafting equipment and then upgrading a piece of equipment. Pretty standard stuff, you know, like you can use the starting weapons. Eventually, once you get to a certain point, you can craft it and then simply upgrade it as well. Pretty simple. I will talk about, though, Gilbert's questline, as it's not directly stated how it works in certain regards, so I will talk about it now. He'll want you to upgrade one of the starting weapons, the Kurogane Buster, or the Kurogane weapons. But what it doesn't tell you is you're supposed to use a specific upgrade tree. As you'll see here, I thought it just meant to fully upgrade it as a Kurogane, but no, it will instead have a new tree called the Shirogane. Now, these are pretty standard, but basically you're using the Ultra Dense RW Scepter, as you can see in the materials needed. You'll have to do this a couple times. Luckily, when you're going to do the quest with Gilbert to progress his character episode, you don't need to actually use these weapons. You can equip the weapon, then accept the quest, and then switch to your main weapon whenever you want, and then complete the quest, and then when you're done, he'll act like you were using this weapon the whole time. So it makes progressing through that a little bit easier. So there is that. Pretty simple stuff. Another thing to talk about is obviously breaking 100 origami bonds. 2 trophies related to that. One is the first time you do it, and the second time is for breaking 100. I don't think I need to really talk about that, but each origami has like 3 or 4 locations that you can break, and eventually you should get it considering how many missions they have you go on. Now, another one is Blood Rage. This is a new thing that is only in 2, it's not even in 3. But basically, as you play and deal damage to main origami, not the small and weak ones, you will build up a meter on the right side. There is a tutorial and there is a trophy related to the tutorial, so you aren't going to miss it. But the trophy itself is in regards to activating it at 500% power. Now, when I did this, I did it on the last mission of the story, as it made it the easiest to deal with it. Basically, when I was in the story, if I could find it, trying to see where it is. No, it's somewhere. Is it not? Huh. Can you not replay the last mission, I guess? I guess not. Well, anyways, during the final fight of the game, whenever you are activating Blood Rage, you have these fulfillments that you can do based on dealing damage, doing a devour, having your weapon hit so many times. Do note that when you activate this, your allies will also contribute to the damage and hits as well. So if you're fighting a origami that is pretty easy for you and your team to deal damage to and hits, then by all means, and during the final fight as well, just making sure that you pick the right ones. There also is going to be one, I think, that gives you 100% guaranteed damage. That's just an overall freebie for you and your team. So picking that one's a no-brainer. And then the rest is just going to be up to you to get your damage. And you're just trying to go for a 500%. You can do this on whatever origami you want to do it on that you are comfortable with, of course. So do keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be on the story missions or anything. It's just whatever origami you are comfortable with doing it on. So do keep that in mind. As I think that is going to pretty much wrap it up as well. Probably another trophy is just for finding a rare abandoned god arc. If you play long enough, you were going to eventually unlock it. It's just a matter of time, not a matter of when. It's going to happen because eventually the drop rate is pretty substantial. But probably the last thing I will talk about is very similar to the first game. There is going to be a survival phase missions that you will eventually unlock in rank 15. Probably finding an easier one than the first one that you have available is probably going to be key, but you will need to do one of them by yourself and complete it. So I would wait to do that until you have a good setup, some rank 15 gear of course as well. So do keep that in mind, but that will also get you another trophy and probably be one of the last ones you try and go for, or whatever you want to do. Now, the last tip I will say is whenever you have these multiple missions in one, these survival phases, as you can check and see what weapon types you need to bring, or you could go like how I did and just go for straight up no damage type, just neutral damage. But what you can do is while you're here in your loadout, you can actually save and create loadouts. As you can see, I have 5 different loadouts. One for lightning damage, one for fire damage, one for ice damage, or whatever you'd like to call it. And then we have divine damage as well. And then the last one is just neutral. Pretty straightforward, as you can see. But when you are on those survival phases, you can change your loadouts. So if you're struggling, maybe try remembering what loadouts you need, what weapon types to bring, and then swapping those, and hopefully that does pretty good for you guys. As you can probably tell, I'm a little sick, but I've been trying to beat this game as it's been kicking my ass for the most part. But hopefully this guide and the guide before it and the guide that is going to come after it are very helpful or informative in some way, shape, or form. I do know that there hasn't been a lot of gameplay or anything in this video, but like I said, it's more or less just an all-encompass of all of the trophies for the game. But as always, this has been Mr. Pilgrim, and I will see you all in the next video. As always, peace out.